Hello there, Internet. Today is still Friday, November the 25th. It is, again, still Black Friday up here, known as just regular Friday. I've had a few guys complain on the YouTube channel that I don't really respond to comments. And I'm sure, yes, that's a valid complaint. I will agree 100% that that's a complaint that some people might want the feedback or the interaction. Frankly, there's times I just don't have the time. It's not like I'm ignoring comments. I do read them all, and I will comment on the ones that really need to be commented on. But I just don't have the time. I'm very busy. There's just a lot of things going on in my life right now. Work, family. You may or may not know I have like a 3-year-old child, and if you've got any children out there, you know for a fact that they're a handful, especially at this age. They're in everything. They're curious. They demand your time. And right now, I'm at the stage of my life where any demands of my time made by my child come first. So that's just where my priority is at. I will comment when I can. However, there is one thing. I'm not sure if I've actually addressed it very well. Someone asked, how did I ever come to work for Ellusionist? Because every time I post up one of these things, like whether it's my card sheets or the decks that are limited, things like that I get, they always say, oh, how did you work for Ellusionist? Oh, I want to work for Ellusionist. And you know what? I'll tell you the history right now. And it's going to be, it won't be lengthy, but it will be detailed and involved. But first, a little bit about my magic history. I didn't get into magic until I was about 19 years old. And for those of you who care, I'm 40 right now. No laughing. Please, no laughing. I know I'm bald, but just really, it hurts. So anyways, I got involved in night magic when I was 19 years old. I was working at a restaurant serving, and I saw someone, do some stuff with like a little handkerchief and made it disappear. Poof, and it was gone. And it intrigued me, but I didn't realize that was stuff you could go out and buy. I thought it was like sleight of hand you had to learn and stuff like that. Until up here in Toronto, there's a place called the Canada's Wonderland. And in Canada's Wonderland, Jeff Pinsky, who is now the current owner of the Browser's Den of Magic up here in Toronto, Jeff Pinsky had a little corner booth in Canada's Wonderland selling magic. And that was my first experience with a place to actually purchase magic. And the first book I ever bought was from the overpriced Canada's Wonderland kiosk, was Expert Card Technique and Modern Coin Magic. I think that's the one. Either way, those two books, which were like from a beginner standpoint of view, and one who was just interested in having fun, way too advanced for the level that I was trying to get into at that time. But it was through Jeff and through that little kiosk that I got introduced into magic. And it was there that I also discovered a couple months later how the little dude made that thing disappear. And I got hooked. I got into, it was just fantastic. I loved it. And I was into it hardcore for about 5 years. And then one day in our apartment, it was like a really cold winter. It was like minus 30 Celsius. It was brutal. We had that cold spell lasted for a few days, and the hot water pipe in my apartment burst. And if you've ever been in a shower, there's a lot of hot water, how steamy things get. Multiply that times 10, because this is like boiling water running through these hot water pipes to heat places. And it basically, like if it was paper in my apartment, it got trashed. I lost pretty much everything. The only things I did not lose were like my gimmicks, not my gimmicks, the tricks that were like like actual like something you could handle, like plastic, brass, metal, things like that. And so I got out of magic for a few years. I wasn't, like all the money that I just lost. I figured, you know what, like it's time to get out of it. Then one day, I was working at my current job, which was at Nortel Networks. In Nortel Networks, I basically did building services. So I was a go-to guy for all the people in the building. If you needed something, I was the guy to get it for you. And if I couldn't get it for you, I knew someone who could get it for you. So like I was the answer guy, essentially. So in a job like that, there's like, you're really busy, but at times you're also really slow because there might not be a lot to do. And so that was at that time, I was about to get married, and I had just bought a house, and I was just surfing the web, and I was surfing the Browser's Den's forums again, and somehow something came across the line. Like I saw like a posting that talked about Brad Christian, an illusionist, and ninja, blah blah blah. And so I surfed on over, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, you can download this stuff. So Ninja 1 was the first video that I had ever downloaded, purchased online, was Ninja 1. That was my first introduction to the past. That was my first introduction to like some of the harder sleights. And it was then that I decided, excuse me, getting a frog in my throat. It was then that I decided to get back into magic. So while I was working there at Nortel, and if any guys know about your business history, Nortel is no longer around. So while I was working at Nortel, I would be surfing forums, like the Ellusionist forums. I'd be making purchases, like just reading up on magic. Like, you know how it is. You just get hooked. Like, you really want to just dive right back into it. And as I was, goofing around on Ellusionist, I happened, like, Brad was doing all the HTML himself. And I had some experience with HTML, like I'd just been goofing around doing some personal stuff. And his online order form was atrocious. It was like, if I can find and get a screenshot of it for you guys, I will. But it was horrible. And so I redesigned that form using some HTML. And this was back before HTML 4 or 5 or whatever. This is like ancient HTML. I redesigned the form for him so that it was easy to print out and select what people wanted, did the prices. And I guess he was impressed with that. I redesigned one other page for him as well. And he said, like, dude, like, I really thank you for your help. I see you in the forums a lot. You're helping out. Do you mind maybe like 1 or 2 hours a day just answering some technical support emails? I'm like, that would be fantastic, do what I like to do and get paid for it. So I went ahead and I said yes. So like an hour or two a day, I'd answer some support emails, things like that. And it got more and more until it was a couple hours a day. But still, like, it didn't mind. I was in front of the computer anyways. And then one day, one Halloween, I think it was before Halloween. It was for Halloween or November, Thanksgiving. It was for a major holiday, preceding a major holiday. Brad phoned me and said, hey, look, I want to redesign the store. I want to make it better. And this was when, this was the second version of, like, I wouldn't say the second version. This is when Ellusionist branched out into all the other products. Instead of just selling, like, the certain products, like, that just tweaked everybody's interest, they branched out, grabbed a few more videos, grabbed a few more props, and then started creating like a real store with categories. And basically, that store was my baby. Mind you, it was an ugly baby. Looking back on it now, compared to how web has the web's has advanced as far as design and aesthetics. But I basically, I designed the store, I did the layout. It was a pain in the butt updating the thing because it was all static HTML. Like, I had to, like, if I wanted to add a new product, I had to cut, paste, move things. It was brutal. And that was I started doing that a lot more often. Because of that, I spent like basically all of 1 month just going ahead and redesigning the store. I got paid for it, and Brad sent me a pretty good thank you gift. And then later on, that was in November. I guess in January, February, he said, "Dude, like, I've got a lot of things that I've got in the works. Would you like to come on board full time?" And I was a little hesitant because I'd only seen certain amounts. I've only seen certain aspects of the business. So I really didn't know for sure if that would be a good deal. And I actually said to him, I go, look, is there enough work? Like, because I don't want to say yes, only to find out there's really not that much going on, and I've got to be let go or something like that. He said, oh, no, there's a ton of work that needs to get done. So I jumped on board, did a lot of technical support, web design, adding products, taking care of some videos. And at this time, there was a gentleman, Roy Ornelis, I think his name was taking care of some of the online videos for us. I took over that, and that became part of my thing as well. So if you've ever used a Troublemaker interface, it was developed by him and then expanded on by me. We've since ditched it, so don't ask me about that anymore. So then that was like my first full-time, I think it was like 2000, it was before I was married, or just after I got married. So I think it would have been around 2002, 2003 is when I gave him a full-time. It's now 2012. So I was working full-time with Ellusionist. And then after a few years of running that store, we decided that, the amount of work that's required to update things it's ridiculous. It's so hard to make an update to a page that takes so much time. We've got to move and redevelop what we're doing. So then we went to another store that was database driven. We designed the pages statically so that we could get our own special aesthetic into it. And this is back when Jonathan Bain was with us as well. He was actually working with Brad and Ellusionist before I came on. So we moved to the database driven store. And this is back when, this is when we first started getting pretty, started getting good looking. This is when the site really started coming to being. And a lot of really cool products were coming down the line. And there was that was the heyday of Ellusionist. I think it was just back when the web was just booming. It was just incredible, and it was good times. I'll be the first to say it was fantastic times. It was very hard work. There was a lot of things that needed to get done. We were doing some advertising with some David Blaine specials that were going on, and there's a lot of things back end stuff. I won't go into details, but we were kept busy, like busy a lot. A lot of people came on for support wise, stuff like that. Chris Shue, if you still remember him, was he was doing like support and product advisement, things like that. And then it was decided that it was time to grow again. And around that time, that's when Jonathan Bain left to form Theory 11. And we moved to a store, another cart that was very powerful. It was super powerful. It was a pain in the butt to access some of the tweaks and stuff like that. But in the long run, that cart was just a little too powerful for us. It was just, it was like, hunting flies with a shotgun. It was just really unnecessary. So we moved to where we are now, with the cart that you see now, with the software that you see now. All the videos that are online, I take care of the videos. And basically, in the past 9 years, which is a long time when you think about it, I didn't realize I've been working with Ellusionist for 9 years. 9 years full time, and before that, maybe 2 or 3 part time. Like it's been a long. I've been working for Ellusionist for a long time, so I've seen the whole generation of the growth of Ellusionist. So it's been fantastic to work for this company, and I love it. Like I've made some good friends. Jason Brumbelow down in Texas, he came up to Magic Camp with me, if you recall. Him and Eric spent the night here. We went up to Magic Camp, spent some time up there, came back down. Eric Jones, I might add, name drop. But all the friends that I've made and developed, like I would not have met people like Lee Asher and Aaron Fisher, and all the guys that I would normally have looked up to and said, ooh, I want to be like those guys. I never, without Ellusionist and Magic, I never would have been able to meet those guys. When I started working for Ellusionist, that's when I just, I started discovering that there were other things about Magic out there. I discovered the Magic Camp. And that's when I started volunteering at Sorcerer Safari Magic Camp. And I will say this, Sorcerer Safari is expensive, but what you get out of it is so worth it. If you can manage to make it, by all means, go for it, guys. And if you're a member of SAM or IBM, they do sponsorships. They sponsor kids and teenagers and that to go to Magic Camp. So if you are a member of those 2 groups, send in and say, look, I want to go to Magic Camp. Will you please sponsor me? They might not say yes. They can only afford like 2 or 3 sponsorships at a time. But it's worth a shot. It's better than no shot at all. It's like if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen. So if you do it and nothing happens, well, that's no different than the outcome that was originally going to happen. But if you do it and you go, the pluses are just for you. There's only a plus side. So that's how I became working for Ellusionist. It was purely by accident. It's just I fell into the job. If I had been, if it was now in the same set of circumstances happened, I honestly don't think I would have gotten the job. Only because the web has changed, shopping carts have changed, people have changed, the times have changed, marketing has changed, and Magic has changed. Magic is not what it used to be. I'll tell you that much right now. But it's definitely it's been fun. It's been fantastic, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So, in a nutshell, that's basically how I became to work for Ellusionist. That's how I managed to get all the sweet stuff you guys see downstairs, all the decks and the sheets and the prints and stuff like that. Purely by accident and hard work. It's not been easy. It's definitely been hard. A lot of sleepless nights. I can't begin to tell you how many times that I've been staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning to get stuff done, only because it needs to get done. No one else is going to do it. And with some of the stuff that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, I guarantee you I'll be staying up that long as well. So if there's any other questions, feel free just to give me a shout, send it into YouTube, or make a comment, do whatever. If I don't get back to you, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's not because I'm, as one person said, pompous. Frankly, that's a load of bull if you ask me. I'm just busy. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just busy. I've got to allot my time to certain things, and sometimes YouTube just doesn't get the time it deserves. As you can well know from the year-long hiatus I took, previously. I just finally got back into it. So, if there's anything else you need to know, let me know. Slides and stuff like that. Someone else did say, how come you never show any slides or anything like that? Frankly, I could show you some slides. I could maybe teach you a few things, but in all honesty, there's so many better resources out there than me. I'm not the perfect one to go for this. I'm not the end all and be all of certain sites, etc., etc. I frankly, I am capable. I am competent in the stuff that I do know. However, when you teach, there's a risk you take in opening yourself up. And I myself kind of hate being criticized by magicians, because frankly, in my past, the ones that I've been criticized by are the ones who don't do the things themselves. I won't get into that, but basically magicians are very critical, and I hate performing for magicians, and I think a lot of you guys do as well. But like, I personally feel if you can find a better resource to learn from, to get taught by all means, search for the best resource you can, and then maybe, you know, get down to other people like myself. But if you really need to, I can show you a few things. I might not be able to show you everything, but if there's something you want to learn and that I can help you on, I will do my best to try and get something out there for you guys. So it's still Friday, it's still November, it's still the 25th. You guys have a good weekend, and I will do my best to keep updating you these videos at least once a week, even if I don't have a product or something to show you. I'll do my best to at least try and keep you updated or give you a point of view or something like that. You guys have a good weekend and have fun. Don't eat too much turkey and don't shop too much. Or at least don't shop too much anywhere else. Shop at Ellusionist.